A lot of exciting things about focusing on music by living composers. They can come, which is really great. Very few of them are white guys in wigs, which is really cool, too. We like that a lot. So the piece was called Sun in Virgo, and we heard Ford Forkurian performing. We're going to have a lot more music on the program tonight, and it's all really, really wonderful. So we're heading towards a piece by Marc Mellits that's called Zodiac, and the piece in its entirety, we're going to hear an excerpt of it tonight, but in its entirety, it is 12 short movements. I think the number 12 is not surprising to anybody here on stage. They're all the different sun signs. So I think it's a great place for us to move in our conversation now. One of the things we were talking about right before Ford performed, you only have a little bit of information if you know somebody's sun sign. So as I was reading about astrology to prepare for the show, I was really pretty stunned and overwhelmed at how complex it is, which I'm sorry, talking to the two of you. But there's really an awful lot of factors. So what else besides a sun sign is affecting somebody's chart?
Well, many things. The sun, as we look at a birth chart, we look at basically a snapshot of the sky at the time you were born, and the sun is actually just one small part of it all. You also have a moon sign that speaks about your emotional body. You have a Mars and Venus sign that speak about your passion signature, and many generational planets that speak about the soul of your generation, the zeitgeist there. So, but the funny thing is, people walk around saying, I'm a Gemini or I'm an Aries, but the truth is, you all have each zodiac sign within you somewhere. So it's really a misnomer to say I am just one sign.
You see those charts though, like visually, and they show because there's like the cradle or the this or the that, and they have the planets, and sometimes some of the houses or the things on the chart are completely empty, but you're still saying that there's still some aspect.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have an empty 7th house or 5th house, that doesn't mean that you can have an empty love life or no kids or anything like that. There's a planet that's in charge of every sector of your chart. Mm-hmm. And so that planet will give us more information, or give an astrologer or someone just looking at their chart who learns astrology more information about themselves in that area of their lives.
And the houses, these are actually like sectors of space through which the planets
that are divided
travel.
by 12, yes.
Okay, from the perspective of Earth.
Correct.
Okay. And I mean, this is a really old concept. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's been with us for at least 2,100 years in this form. But then, of course, earlier than that, there were omens that were selected and chosen from the heavens and then delineated from even Babylonian times and before.
You pulled up a chart?
I did.
At the moment,
you
I wish you could put it up on the screen.
Yeah, I can send it to you. Well, I just pulled up two charts actually. Seth, I pulled up your chart, and also.
Oh, you have info on me. Uh-oh.
Wow.
It's turning into Jerry Springer here.
Okay, here we go.
Is this your child?
Where's his son?
Well, actually, this is a great time to bring up the concept of sun, moon, and rising.
Okay.
So, Seth, okay, hold on one second. Actually, wait a minute. Can you, just want to make sure this is totally right. Can you confirm your month of birth? Yes. Okay, November 24th?
Yep.
Okay, so what we have is a Sagittarius sun, a Gemini rising, and an Aquarius moon. Now, we call that the Grand Trinity in astrology.
That sounds cool. Is that cool?
Well, the Grand Trinity is not, I mean, it's not just because, we're looking at the sun, the moon, and the rising sign. And the rising sign is what sign was coming above the horizon when you were born.
And to put that in context, too, I see it as like the sun sign is pretty much what you came here to do on the planet, your main archetype, your role. The rising sign would be like the how, the vehicle, how you do the job of your sun sign. And then the moon sign, I see as your core, your emotions, and what you really need to thrive in life, what will really satisfy your soul. So the thing that I thought was really interesting about you is that you are all fire and air. And fire is the energy of passion and inspiration. Creativity, yeah. Sun being in Sagittarius, the sign of the great adventurer, explorer. Does that feel like your archetype?
Yeah, that's me. I was just rock climbing last night. No, I'm kidding.
I was about to say, for real?
No, I'm not an outdoorsy type. I'm adventurous in other ways.
Right.
You are. I mean, doing this is adventurous, I think.
Right, and you have a lot of air, so you're communicating. You're interested in communicating and sharing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the way...
thought.
Exactly. I mean, the way he does his Sagittarius sun sign through Gemini rising,
Right.
through the vehicle of air, you're creating these wonderful events where people can commune and share, connect. So through the Gemini lens.
So again, I mean, this is through no fault of my own how things were set in the heavens when I was born. I mean, if I had taken a couple of days longer, I would be a totally different person. Is that true?
If you take it a few minutes longer,
Okay.
it might reflect a different person.
That's interesting.
And that's, the rising sign, absolutely.
Right.
And then the moon sign also, Aquarius moon. What do you think of that, Sam?
Well, I think that's very strongly interested in bringing together people who are on the perimeter, who in some way function out of the view of what, quote unquote, might be deemed the mainstream or the norm. That might also describe you at some point in your life, feeling like on the outside and wanting to kind of deal with that and having some...
Fourth grade.
Yeah. Some idea of feeling out there.
Through college.
You might remember the X-Files. It's like, it's out there. I mean, that's probably how Seth has felt, like, in a sense. So, yeah.
We're going to do this for each of you, too, by the way.
I might want to add one more thing to that about the Aquarius moon. There also can be this extremely humanitarian quality where your desire emotionally is to help other people and in some way to give back. So.
Yeah, I've definitely wasted too much time with that. That's definitely... I'm kidding.
Too much about yourself, huh? Okay. That's also the deference of that moon in Aquarius, too.
So, okay, this is how the planets and everything were when I was born. But it's still, the configurations of the planets still affect me and everyone throughout our lives. Is that correct? It's not like this is just a snapshot and, there you go for hopefully 90 years.
Astrology does have the challenge of a grammar problem, right? And one of the grammatical issues that I think we as astrologers struggle with is that when we say, because we do say it, we do say affects, right? But is that literal? And I don't think, if I were to say it out loud, or even if a client were to ask me, like, do you believe it's literally affecting me? No. What I think it's describing the set circumstances and situations related to your character that you kind of give off, So I think in terms, we have to look at astrology as more signaling something rather than determining it. That's how I look at it.
But there's also, for my given astrological makeup, like who I am as a human being, there are days or times of any given year that are like, I should stay in bed probably, right?
Well, I would say when usually people come to probably me or Sam or any astrologer, they're usually going through one of those times where it's like, and astrologically we call that sometimes a Pluto transit or something like
Saturn
that.
transit.
Saturn transit, exactly. So I look at it like this. You have your natal chart always, which is akin to the terrain. If you imagine an ecosystem, you can think of the desert or the fjords. Some unique ecosystem is your chart. The transits are what's going on any random day in the sky, and we can have a lot of planets in water signs. And if you have a lot of water in your chart, you might want to just stay in bed. That can feel like a downpour. But let's say you have a lot of air and you're like, wow, this is refreshing, all of this water. The transits are the weather. It's raining, it's snowing, it's always changing. Every day is different. And as astrologers, I think, a lot of people come to us, they're trying to understand what's going on in their life. And what we do is pretty much, we take the zoom lens way out and we give these transits meaning. We speak about the implications of them. And often the person sitting there will feel a bit relieved because there's some explanation as well. But again, as Sam said, it's not like the planets are making you do things.
Right. And I think embedded in your question is like, how much is predetermined by our chart? Like, what about free will? Well, free will is kind of like on shaky ground right now, even from neuroscientists, right? So let's put that out there. But what I like to say is that fate has two arms, right? And one of them is your own. So I think what we're talking about with a chart is a description of what are the given circumstances that you were born with, and then it's your consciousness and how you're going to perceive things that can change what you do with that.
All right, let's return to this conversation in a moment. We're getting some heavy stuff. I love free will. We're going to get into that. We're going to hear some music now by Marc Mellits. This is 4 movements from the piece Zodiac, and we are going to hear Taurus, Aries, Cancer, and Leo. Our performer for these pieces is Peter Ferry, who is the guy for whom they were written. So I got the guy. This is the guy right here. Here's Peter Ferry to perform the music of Marc Mellits. Hang tight, Peter. Don't go anywhere. It's Peter.